Is it on? Dear representatives of institutions, dear partners, dear young and youth activists, dear guests, good morning and welcome to this regional event for sharing the findings and recommendations from the comprehensive assessment of youth policies, activism and participation in Serbia, North Macedonia, Kosovo and Albania. My name is Dragana Karovska-Čemerska. I am program manager at HERA, Health Education and Research Association from North Macedonia, which is a lead partner in this project. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to express our deepest condolences for the young people who tragically lost their lives in the recent fire at the nightclub in Kocani, North Macedonia. Our thoughts are with their families, friends, and communities during this heartbreaking time. This tragedy is a reminder of the urgent need for policies that ensure safer environment for young people, and it strengthens our commitment to youth advocacy and engagement. I would like for a minute of silence, please. May them rest in peace. So, this event is part of the regional project Empowering Youth for Democratic and Sustainable Futures in the Western Balkans, which is supported by the Western Balkans Fund in their joint program with the European Union. And it is implemented by HERA, Health Education and Research Association, as a lead partner, and our partners, the Center for Population Policies and Sustainable Development, IPPF Serbia, the Organization for Increasing Quality of Education, ORCA from Kosovo, and Civic Resistance Albania, which are our hosts today here in Tirana, and thank you for that. So before, also I would like to inform you of a small change in the agenda. We are pleased to welcome in the welcoming speeches Andrea Ferrero as a head of the Economic and Social Development sector at the delegation of the European Union Albania, who will be delivering opening remarks alongside our scheduled speakers within the agenda. So please, Andrea, can you address? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Karovska, dear representative of project implementing partners, participants, and all the youth from the Western Balkans. Is really great to be as ex-youth, to be part of this comprehensive assessment of youth policy, activism, and participation. So this is very interesting to listen to the concern of youth, because this, of course, it's a very important part of society, and is the most energetic one, and the one that creates really the perspective for the future development of the region, especially in the context of integration with the EU. When we travel and we visit our project, we discuss with youth, we always try to check what are the main concerns, and and also the reasons why so many youth in the region want to emigrate. And the three main concerns that we commonly hear are the job insecurity. So the fact that it's difficult to find a job, and the way to get a job is more very often linked to the connection to people in power rather than the knowledge, experience, or expertise in getting a job or any kind of opportunity. The quality of education and of public services in general, in terms of also health and other kind of services from the public administration, and the issue of corruption, that is one of the top problems faced by people throughout the Western Balkans. The EU is trying to respond to some of these concerns by creating opportunities and stimulating the reform process. One of the tools is the Reform and Growth Facility, which aims at as an entire pillar dedicated to human capital and education, not just the formal traditional education, but also vocational training and employment opportunities, especially in terms of reform of the curricula, but also the digitalization of the teaching in school. It is one of our main approaches, not just to work with the government, but also to work with the civil society, organizations, and youth to get the voices being heard and translated into policy. Regarding youth employment, we have a lot of policy initiatives and programs. There is a EU Youth Action Plan that is developed and defined on three main objectives. The one of engaging, so to get the people's voices in policy and decision making heard. Empower, fighting inequalities in access to education and training, and connect, giving the opportunities to network exchange with their peers. For example, one of the main opportunities that the EU gives to youth is the participation to Erasmus Plus program, which is has been one of the way to foster integration, first with the member states, but also with the other countries all around the world. And 53,000 young people from the region have already benefited from this opportunity. But also other opportunities are, for example, Horizon in terms of research, etc. In terms of concrete opportunities, I wanted to remark that today for our Albanian youth and young entrepreneurs is the last day to apply to the Challenge Fund of Youth for Innovation. So you can go to challengefund.youfforinnovation.al and you can still apply for grants if you have a startup, up to 10,000 euro for idea and validation stage, 20,000 euro for growth stage, and 30,000 euro for scale-up stage. Otherwise, we are partnering with the EBRD and with the KfW for opening financing opportunities for the youth, for example, to the Go Digital and Youth in Businesses programs. So, as you know, many countries in the Western Balkans are progressing, especially Albania and Montenegro are progressing very fast in the path towards EU integration. We hope by the end of the decade that Albania and Montenegro will have completed their accession process and the other countries will have gone a long way in opening and negotiating the chapters. So this will help us to create a true European society and get the youth to participate from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your address. Next, I will call Kocani Bisha, who is project manager for the EU Western Balkan Fund Joint Action.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here today, even though a little bit sorrow, and I would like to express the deepest condolences and solidarity from the Western Balkans Fund to all our colleagues from North Macedonia. Hopefully these things will never happen anymore, and we learn from our mistakes. Coming back to today's event, we are actually very happy to have supported this project with, and I would like to congratulate especially HERA as the lead applicant, but as well the partners, with a very big conference in Skopje, which resulted to some very achievable and actionable results, which I hope will leave this room today and actually be spread more and maybe be put in regulations, in policies, and to ensure the youth participation in our democratic practices. I would like to some extent, maybe not quote perfectly, the Commissioner Kos. She was here with us last week in Albania. She mentioned that the path to EU integration starts from the youth and starts from the civic movement. So consider yourself as shaping the future, consider yourself as shaping our path of not only Albania, but the full region towards the European Union. You are very important and the future lies all ahead of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I will call Miljan Čirađi, who is program manager the Civic Resistance Albania, who are our partners here in Albania.
Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, representative of HERA. Of course, that it has been a very good journey together, working in this regional project, and of course that gives us a perspective of what happened not only in Albania but what happened in Kosovo, what happened in Macedonia and Serbia, to have a big picture of what we need to address for shaping the future of our youngest. Of course, that we live in a region that youngest or the youth of our countries suffer from lack of the good education, cultural aspect, and cultural life that is missing in our countries. Even if we try to entertain, it will result with risk and this tragedy that we have started that week. But of course, that it is a sign for all of us to start thinking in a different way and to start acting immediately to change not only regulation, but to be more attached with the youngest and youth, to give them a real role and concrete role in daily life in our government. We have a situation of misrepresentative of our youngest in govern and when the decision makers are made. But of course that it needs to start with collaboration, collaborate with each other, and that is a good moment for all of us to keep doing our work, but also to bring some good aspects and good narrative and good policy to all our youngest. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, I will call Ron Ginovci, who is Executive Director at ORCA at Kosovo, who are our partners from this country. Please.
Thank you, Dragana. Whatever I have planned to say after the tragedy in Macedonia doesn't make sense anymore. 59 young people died and hundreds are wounded because we do not value safety. As a result, we neglect life. Young people go to barracks that are not supposed to be clubs, in the basements, in the facilities that are not meant to be what they are. The latest technological developments have left institutions of our region way behind on responding to the needs of young people of nowadays. Some, if any, of the buildings and spaces dedicated to young people are outdated, not of our era, and therefore mainly abandoned. Young people of our region run after clubs trying to escape from the harsh reality of living in a world with all the potential it has now due to achievements in science and technology, but yet our young people can experience it only in some short videos that they see in their phones. When we started this project, in our minds were all the things one can say about youth, like participation of youth in decision-making, policies that address their issues. But today, I just want to call on a very simple thing, life. And when I say life, I don't just mean this biological well-being of humans. I am talking about life at its fullest. When I say life in 21st century, it means living the potential of human life in our century. That means being well educated, have access to health services, and being able to realize one's dreams. And these make sense more than ever in a human life when one is young. I believe it's not much to ask for this in 21st century, but unfortunately, what I'm saying doesn't create profit, nor does it serve to the interest of those in power. Therefore, they will just name tag me as an idealist. Imagine an idealist that is calling for the simplest idea of them all, life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, for this beautiful welcome address. And now I will call Viktor Vučkovski, who is youth activist from North Macedonia and part of HERA team.
Thank you, Tirana. What happened yesterday in Skopje maybe changed what I wanted to say today. First of all, because the event that we had 1 month ago in Skopje was maybe one of the best conferences that I have ever attended. And maybe the reason for that was because I had zero expectations. I had zero expectations, and I did not believe that we can get together on the margins of the city of Skopje, on the faculty of chemists, where the faculty didn't see 100 young people for more than a decade, and have such a beautiful and inspiring conferences. We were split in a couple of classrooms, and I've seen beautiful young people, idealists, same as me, being optimistic and having fun while they were imagining how this region can look like. We were having fun imagining our lives. And yesterday, when maybe some of those children were having fun, big fire blew up, and I think that the destiny of the city of Kocani is forever changed. I think that the destiny of that region of Macedonia is forever changed, and I think that the destiny of how we approach activism and how we approach our everyday life has to be changed by an event of this magnitude, because it is not only the 60 children that we would not see anymore. It's their parents, it's the children that saved their lives that are still traumatized. There were 1,500 kids at that event that were stampeding over each other because we did not have simple safety measures. We did not have one police vehicle in front of the disco club, one ambulance vehicle in front of that. And right now, I'm not sure that even we have the health capacities to treat the patients, but I'm very happy, if I can say happy, that we are collaborating when we're mourning. And I really hope that we would, in the future, we would collaborate more like this and less with mournings and helicopters and health care between this region, Europe, and the world. That's I think that's all I can say right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. All of us are quite emotional. We cannot be different today. But I think that gives us strength also to move on and to build joint collaborations and initiatives like this, and to improve finally the conditions for living in these countries and in this region. Because the youth of the Western Balkans are the backbone of the region's democratic and sustainable future. But yes, they have common barriers in all of the areas of everyday living. There is a huge unemployment, there are limited access to quality education, inadequate healthcare, and exclusions from decision-making processes. So I will I say thank you to all of the welcoming addresses, and now we will move forward to the next session, where I will call my colleagues Dragana Stojanovic and Alexandra Stremchev from the Center for Population Policies and Sustainable Development, who are our partners in Serbia, to present the findings of this comprehensive assessment on youth policies. They will highlight key challenges, opportunities, and policy recommendations to enhance youth participation in our region. You can come to the stage, yes. You can sit here.
So, good morning to everyone. My deepest condolences to Macedonian people. This comprehensive assessment on youth policies, activism and participation was actually done by consultant, but unfortunately she was not able to participate in this event. So my colleague Dragana and I will present this report, key challenges and findings and the recommendation. The main purpose of this assessment was to conduct in-depth analysis of youth policies, activism and participation in North Macedonia, Serbia, Kosovo and Albania, focusing on 5 key areas: employment, education, health, environment and culture. Sorry. Before consultant conduct the research, they created a methodology for this assessment, which combined mixed methods approach to ensure comprehensive understanding of legal frameworks in different countries related to youth. And also this approach integrated some qualitative and quantitative data collection methods in order to capture diverse perceptions, perspectives, identities, gaps, and highlight some recommendation. The first part of this research was desk research, and the second part was stakeholder consultations. When it comes to desk research, Consultants analyzed legal frameworks. They looked at policies, strategies, action plans in all countries, and basically they identified that all countries have excellent legal frameworks related to the young people, to youth policies, but what is missing is actually implementation. Also, they looked in some regional and international studies, documents, reports, and evaluations that actually address engagement of young people in all countries. So there is a lot of disparities between design of policies and actual outcomes. Everything is look much more better in paper than in reality. And there is also a lot of barriers for participation when it comes to marginalized and vulnerable groups in all countries, such as Roma, rural young people that live in rural areas, LGBTIQ population, and socially economically disadvantaged young people. Also, they looked at some trends such as digitalization, which is very important for young people for their participation. They also looked in some documents that actually are related to youth inclusion in different areas. When it comes to stakeholder consultation, we actually consultants developed a tool for focus groups discussions and in-depth interviews, and we actually conducted 4 focus groups, one focus group per country, with young people from 15 to 30 years old with different backgrounds. Some of them were from Roma population, some are students, and some of them are basically youth activists engaged in different organizations. And when it comes to deep in-depth interviews, basically we managed to organize just 2 interviews with representatives of NGOs in Serbia, Roma NGOs, Roma activists, who actually work with young people in Roma communities in Serbia, and also one of woman who was interviewed in Serbia also is a representative of a Roma organization which is working with young Roma women. Mainly, that questionnaire actually for focus group discussion was related to some key questions, such as attitudes that young people have towards participation and their participation in decision-making processes in these 5 areas. And they also talked about forms and quality of involvement of young people in existing processes. They talked about their motivation to participate in different processes. They also tackled challenges, gaps, and barriers, and also existing support mechanisms in these 5 areas. And what we mapped through this report is that there is a limited representation of young people in all countries. We have youth councils that are existing in all countries, but they lack funding, authority, and actually meaningful presentation of young people in decision making. Also, we mapped a lot of gaps in civic education, and there is a need for increased awareness about youth participation, because a lot of young people, especially people living in rural areas, they don't know who to approach and where they can participate and involve. Also, there is a lack of platforms digital platforms for youth engagement, as we can see that young people are omnipresent in social networks. And there is also inequality in participation, barriers for people from marginalized and vulnerable groups. And what we can see through this report is that people from these groups are, there is actually a small percentage of involvement of these people in different youth bodies across all countries. And also there is mistrust in institutions. Young people are mainly involved through NGOs in all countries, and because they see NGOs as more effective a way to participate in different initiatives. Also, we realize that digital activism is also growing in all countries.
Yes, hello. Before I continue, my name is Dragana and I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Population Policies and Sustainable Development from Serbia. I honestly, I cannot find the words to say just how sorry I am about the 59 lost lives in Macedonia and all the tragedy that actually follows that. And I couldn't agree more with all of the speakers saying about the aspects of life that idealistically we all hold, and the empathy that is lost in the present day society. And generally speaking, nothing will bring back the lives of those young 59 lives. This is why I just wanted to highlight the point that I don't think that we openly make, but I should tell you that this is the way that it is, and that the young people are the key to answer this issue, this challenge that we are facing. This is the transparency and the accountability. So it's the state's affair. This is something that should be addressed to the state. While making this report, even though I didn't write it myself, I was consulting the consultant. So she told me that the key point through the entire report is the accountability, actually. The idea that we, all of our countries in the region, if there was some award to be given for making of the policies, we would be all PhDs. Each of the ministry would get a PhD in writing a policy, adopting a policy, and then never implementing it. I think that if there was some kind of award, that it would be an Oscar for all of our countries, because we are all pacing in, giant steps to be considered, either in our case, to be opened a new chapter, in somebody else's case to open a discussion. We are just pacing and we're doing everything we can. No, we are not. With my knowledge of 25 years in the NGO, I can write any policy in 2 days. Does it mean that I'm going to be able to know how to implement it? No. It means that I didn't involve young people in the implementation. As the report says, less than 40% of young people, and that is the highest number, in some cases 25%, are involved in writing policies, are involved in accountability and transparency. Why? Because, I'm sorry to say this, but it's the same is in our country. The canopy collapses, it kills 15 people. On the railway station that took $16 million of EU funds to be created, what happens? Nothing. The state says nothing happened. So where is the policy behind it? Who are you protecting? Where is the security behind it? So I think the key lies in young people. And even though this is a tragic event, this is really something that, I'm honestly, I'm holding my tears here, but I want to be positive. I want to think that those young people showed us the way in which to move forward, to take accountability, whether it's through strikes and protests like we do in Serbia, whether it's through some meaningful other action taken by young people. I think that young people cannot be marginalized anymore. Young people have to take action. I started dealing with the civic sector when I was 23, dealing with HIV and AIDS. Nobody wanted to include young people. We had to make our voice be heard. And I'm quite positive that this is the best way to explain this report. It is about the potential of the young people in all of our countries to be heard. So I'm quite positive that you've read the report, and I will say about the key findings and everything. But we are talking about the wrong things. We are talking about reading the report. The things we should be talking about is the barrack that pretended to be a disco, is the canopy that pretended to be a railway station. This is what we should be talking about. The people's lives that were lost in these negligence, systemic negligence by the states that we live in because of the higher goals that somebody thinks they have. So I think that our conversation might go in this regard, but I will definitely want you to go through the key findings in education, which I'm going to go through with you right now. And before I forget, I would like to thank very much the organizers, to thank HERA for inviting us into the project, to thank the organizers from Albania and our partners and colleagues on the project from Kosovo and I'd say us. Okay, so let's continue with the key findings in education. I'm completely blind, Sandra. Can we put it here? Okay, so still. Key findings in education. So challenges in implementing education reforms, despite strong frameworks. As I said, we are masters of education in writing a policy. High dropout rates, especially among disadvantaged group. High not education, employment, not training rates. Underrepresented, marginalized groups in education systems. And disparities in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, and digital literacy initiatives. And resource allocation. So in employment, when speaking about employment, we are speaking about the persistent youth unemployment, Kosovo, Albania, Serbia, and Macedonia. This was actually the slide that was going on while we were sitting here. I was shocked. Then NEET rates above EU average, weak transition from education to employment, programs like My First Salary and Youth Guarantee, North Macedonia Youth Guarantee exist, but funding and mentorship are lacking. Limited support for youth entrepreneurship, inadequate funding and mentorship, and urban-rural employment divide, rural youth migration, brain drain concerns. Brain drain is Serbia's biggest concern for 20 years in the past. Key findings in health. This is something that we all deal with in the IPPF part of the project. Limited access to mental health services, especially in rural areas. Youth are not seeking mental health services because we used to have, while we were part of the larger country, we used to have primary health centers that had counseling services. Counseling services have died. And then youth are not seeking services anymore, especially not going to the doctor in a rural area because the towns are smaller and the chances are 90% that a doctor will be somebody that your mother and father know. So nobody is seeking that. There is a huge need for digital platforms that young people will be able to accommodate, to enter, to join, so that this anonymity of their problems are addressed. Then weak policy frameworks for CSC and SRHR. I think that none of the countries has comprehensive sexuality education within their curriculum and within their educational systems. I know that Serbia does not. We don't have even a healthy lifestyle curriculum. We don't have comprehensive sexuality education. This is something we don't talk about, especially because it has sex in the title. SRHR, sexual reproductive health and rights, you cannot say that either. Outdated, expired strategies, because the strategies have to be followed by action plans. We actually were the ones that introduced the strategy for reproductive health in Serbia. Sadly to say, our efforts were in vain because no action plan was allocated to this strategy, some 10,000 euro for the entire year in average of 6.7 million people country. So that means actually nothing. So this is one of the reasons the state thought that it's a good idea to be moving forwards with check, I have strategy, but then the action plan says otherwise. And then limited youth-friendly SRHR services, especially for rural vulnerable youth, that I cannot even begin to explain. Comprehensive sexual education is integrated onto school curricula in Albania. Use of contraception is still low and no sexual comprehensive education in school Serbia. Teenage pregnancies, early marriages remain concerns. Kosovo. The national strategy on sexual and reproductive health existed until 2020, but no new framework has been adopted since then in North Macedonia. Lack of policy implementation, weak enforcement, insufficient funding. Added, of course, by this USAID charade that happened to all of us in the Western Balkans. Our organization personally was hit, not by large, but a part of the project, and I'm sure all of you are working with the USAID. I mean, we're working with the USAID. So now our fundus, our core issues remain to be unaddressed. Key findings in culture, low youth participation in cultural activities. In Albania, cultural engagement is recognized as vital for youth development. Participation remains low. Only 28% of youth in Serbia regularly attend cultural events. Engagement in creative activities such as music, art, writing is limited. National Youth Strategy in Macedonia 2023-2027 highlights that only 33.7% of young people actively participate in cultural activities, despite majority, about 86%, recognizing it's important. And the government has introduced the state strategy for youth in Kosovo, the age 2024-2032, to address the cultural needs of young people, but challenges remain in accountability and inclusivity, and economic geographic disparities in access to cultural programs, while youth involvement is limited in cultural policy making processes, of course. And key findings in environment, this is something important given the situation in Macedonia, moderate youth engagement in environmental activism, strong grassroots movement in Kosovo and Albania, Serbia and North Macedonia show slower progress, rising concerns, air quality, climate change awareness increasing, lack of institutional support and funding for youth-led environmental initiatives, limited youth participation in environmental policy making, government policies often lack direct youth input, of course. And recommendations, we are coming close to the end. Ensure full implementation and monitoring of youth laws, strategies and policies with meaningful youth participation, increase budgets for youth programs, systematic youth involvement in decision making, enhance Western Balkans regional youth participation mechanisms, focus on education, vocational training and employment opportunities, expand access to mental health and SRHR services, comprehensive sexuality education and youth-led service design, and develop inclusive cultural programs targeting marginalized youth while promoting environmental engagement and awareness campaigns. So this is actually this is actually the presentation that we've had in mind. And now it's open for discussion, for questions, for your opinions. It doesn't have to be a question. So it would be nice to see what your opinions are about this. Do you agree? Is there anything that you think lacks attention? And is there something that you would like to share with not only Sandra and myself, but with the rest of our attendees? Thank you so much for listening.
Hi, it's a very simple question because we've seen throughout the years that the youth has lost its interest to participate in different trainings or organizations, activities. What will you do if this fails? Sorry to use this term, but if it fails again? Because in the previous years, we have seen projects or programs that want to make youth more active, more, I don't know, to not lose its hope. But what will you do if it fails to achieve this? Like, I don't know.
Thank you so much for your question. I just wanted to clarify, when you say when it fails, what is it?
Maybe not the program itself, because it is a very well-made program, but youth loses its hope or ambition in this term.
Okay. What will I do? I don't know. I think it's the I don't know answer for all of us. I think it's the I don't know answer for all of us. We have to count on the youth. You know, in Serbia, for example, it's 4 months of protesting now. In the first month, we were all asking ourselves, okay, who will join from the politicians? Nobody joined. We said, okay. Second month, you know, we are saying, oh, good for youth. Nobody joined from the politicians, you know. By the end of second month, we didn't ask anything anymore. We just followed the youth. This is the idea. We don't ask anything. We just do what they say. And I'm quite fine with that. I feel super. For the first time in my life, I'm just going to the protests and listening, the protest is here, we are gathering here, we are going there. Because I believe that youth will change something. So if you ask me, what will I do? I will tell you very honest. I will look at the young people and do what they do. Because I'm quite sure that young people are the answer, as I said. Sorry if it's not more elaborate, but this is what I...
Can I answer this also? Because I'm involved in this project and in this initiative a lot. I have a sense that the idea is to go step by step. I mean, we know what's happening in all of the 5 areas that were part of the assessment, 6 together with the youth participation as a general topic. And we are being quite idealistic, like, yes, we are going to change, we are going to put reforms, we are going to put a lot of projects that will change the scene and everything, but step by step. It's not going to happen over one night or over 1 year or 2 years, no. And my idea of any follow-up on this initiative is that we are going to implement one project by one, not 5, 10 projects like for 5 months, for 6 months. It won't change anything. But we need young people to be with us. We need this energy that Victor said that happened in Skopje. And we are going to have a lot of activities like that. Like to be together, speak all the time, just speak, tell what's happening, tell what's wrong, what should we do, what is a common within every country in the region, what are the problems, what do you need to thrive in this society. So I think that step by step is the formula for me. Anybody else? Do you have questions or comments, or do you want something to say? Okay, yes. Do you need the microphone?
Can you all hear me well? Okay. Sorry for turning my back. It's more of an observation, I guess. I was moderating the health panel back at Skopje at the regional conference. And one thing that stood out was that even though we're geographically so close, we also have the same challenges at the same time. And it's really nice to see that different nations, different countries have different approaches. And I think it's a good thing for us to collaborate and not steal each other's ideas, but like join forces and learn from each other. For example, I would like to see about the comprehensive sexuality education not being in the curricular in schools, in high school. In Macedonia, starting this September, I think, Dragana. This September it's gonna be implemented as a non-mandatory subject. So since none of the other countries are not even close to implementing it in the school curriculum, maybe we can like share how we did it, what mistakes we made, how can we overcome it, etc. This is just like one example, but what I'm saying is that we should continue like working together because we are stronger like that. And yeah, that's it. I just wanted to make like a comment.
Thank you so much. I think it's a wonderful idea, and it actually goes hand in hand with what we were talking about. The young people, they seek to unite, not to divide, and this is the idea that actually goes like a sublimated answer to this report. And thank you, and I welcome any kind of cooperation with anybody in the region. I would really like to see that, although we already cooperate. So
it will be nice to continue our cooperation.
Yes, thank you. It's a great remark, though. Thank you. Somebody else would like to say something or add to the report, or maybe comment on some other issues? Okay. Dragana, is it safe to say that we have completed our session?
Yes. And thank you for that. We will move forward to the next session, which is actually reflections on the report with 3 of our guests who accepted our invitation just to give their insight and comments on the report.
Just wanted to say one sentence more, please forgive me. Just wanted to add again the feeling that I have about the saddest in the ever history of the near of our Western Balkans, losing of the lives of young people, as we will remember them in long history to come. In the whole region, let them be a beacon for the followed up accountability that we will ask of our governments. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Raiko, Regional Youth Cooperation Office, Jafar Rakiplari, Executive Leadership Coach at the College of Europe, and Francesca Muccio, Executive Director, Young Professionals Network. Okay. So we have invited you as a panelist to reflect on these findings and to explore how we can translate these findings into concrete actions with the youth engagement and policy improvements or better implementation of the current policies maybe. So I will ask first Arlene Kara to give the reflections.
Thanks a lot, Dragana. I really firstly want to compliment all the stakeholders who were involved in this research. I mean, it really was impressive what I saw, and I think it's really important, like to in every policy making document that we work through, like to try to intertwine all the pillars that have been enlisted here. And the second important thing, I was very happy when I was informed that culture was part of this policy pillars, very important policy pillars. And even the last tragedy event that happened is in a way or in other related to culture. and in many levels, not only into art industry but even in the mentality at how we handle with such happenings. The thing that I want to say is that generally when we talk about our policy pillars, we intend like to be a bit too much enthusiastic and going a bit too much far, and sometimes we go too much far that it's a bit difficult for the audience to grasp. Because of the methodology, because of the terminologies, because of the work that goes through, and the main struggle and the main point that we should face is like to try to simplify it to the audience, especially to the youngsters who are really bored with so many policy papers and sometimes it's difficult for them like to trying to find the right places and the right ideas how to materialize and to address their issues that they face in their daily life. So I don't want to banalize it, but sometimes when we talk about our policy pillars, like for example about culture or about education or about employment, it's like saying like for children, it's like, yeah, my mom is the best, like my pillar is the best. But I think the biggest challenge is like how trying to make our moms together and and when you make moms together, like amazing things happen. So especially now that we are in the month of the women, and every month belongs to the women, not only this month. But so this is my first intake about the research. But then during the discussion we'll go more through. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I will call Jaffer Rakiplari, who is Executive Leadership Coach at College of Europe, to give his insights. Please.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. So I'm a career coach, I'm an educator. I've been working in higher ed for mostly 15 years, basically all my professional life. Congratulations on a report, very well done. I will speak through the lenses of an educator and, of course, a career coach. As I work with young people in Tirana, but also in some occasions even from Macedonia or Kosovo, mainly, but other parts of the region, I usually have the same question and the same, concern. Do I have a future in the region? So basically, what I see in policies, in papers, in reports is, of course, very well-written strategies and very well-written documents. But when it comes to, the implementation of it, it lacks a clear structure, it lacks a holistic approach. So basically, my key reflections on this report would be related to career guidance. There is absolutely a mismatch between labor market needs and educational offerings in the region. And in North Macedonia, for example, we have an unemployment rate 24%, and many graduates. And I work with people from North Macedonia. They lack the practical skills needed for the field or for the industry they want to work for. Then we also see that there is a lot of young people, especially from rural and marginalized groups, that are left behind. As we usually say in Tirana, it's not the central square. It's also Kukos. It's also the south of the country, and it's the same history with also other neighboring countries. Usually, I've been working in higher ed for 15 years, and it really hurts when I see bright people, excellent results. 4 out of 5 of them, they don't really know where to go for their studies. They are excellent, they are bright, they can have a future in the region, for sure, but they are not sure where to go. So we lack the service. And our service, it's a kind of reaction, it's not proactive. It has to be, from the school, secondary school, and then high school, and then university. We usually work with these people at the end of university or at the end of their last year when they graduate from high school. And that's the best scenario. So we have to change this from being a service that is reactive to a service that is proactive. Also, we have seen really good programs. The Youth Guarantee Program in North Macedonia and also Serbia, they are showing some promise. In Albania, it's still in its early stages. But, for example, we have the case of Kosovo, and it terrifies me. Nearly 50% of youth to 24 years old are unemployed. And it's a number that should make us reflect a lot. Also, we have good, let's say, internship or apprenticeship schemes. And maybe Francesca will talk a bit more about that since she's leading a very good internship scheme right now. But the thing that this is not structural, you know, we lack that holistic approach that I talked about before. Also, when we talk about entrepreneurship, which is also part of the report, we have a fantastic youth strategy in Tirana, National Strategy 22-29. But when it comes to practical training or long-term mentoring, we don't have this. And as a career coach, I've been working for coach at least for the last 10 years. If you don't have a mentoring scheme, if you don't have practical training and skills, you will not succeed. So bless you, you've written a fantastic strategy, but please do some more, actions. Because I'm with Arlind and I'm with my colleague Francesca. Their actions speak more than their words, actually. So just know that. Yeah. When it comes to digital and soft skills, we call these vital skills, not anymore digital skills or soft skills. There is a huge demand in the region, but still there is not a consistent training or a consistent structure for this kind of activities. When it comes to soft skills, I would consider, for example, adding adaptability. It's the most required skill in the world right now. What happened after COVID-19 and everything else, we're talking about adaptability, and we never discuss it or almost never discuss about it. So what I would suggest, let's keep this career center as job board staff and, writing good papers and good reports and good strategies that we have in our countries, but offering more mentorship skills, training, be more practical, letting our actions speak more than our words. Also, it has to be accessible to all, as I told you. We talk about education, we talk about way of lives, we talk about economic growth, because it's related basically to everything. It has to be accessible to all. And I've been working also in the north of the country, and I had a student that I met when he was only 18, and a fantastic guy from Skopje. He was studying in a very small village with only 8 other students. He was a genius, almost a genius in math, and he didn't know where to study. So his academic life changed his life basically, and his good choice when it comes to university program made him pursue a career in technology, and then doing a master's in Sweden, and then now doing a PhD in Norway, but also working a lot in the innovation ecosystem and infrastructure. So we have young people, we have bright young people in every corner of our countries, and we have to go there and to offer this kind of support. There is, of course, a lot to say, but if we want young people to take action, to be, vital, to disagree, to raise their voices, to rebel, we have to offer them something, right? And I really like the question, with all these programs, are we doing the right thing? What's going on? It's my very personal opinion, but I think that the response, my personal response to your question would be care. We have to care more. and we have to show that we care. And if we do this, I believe they will, little by little, come and join us, and then we'll do the change that we want to build in our region. So I'm talking a lot about career guidance, I know, but it's not only about skills, mentorship, education. It's also about employment, and it's also for a future, not elsewhere, but I hope in Albania, in Serbia, and North Macedonia, and in the region. Then, yep. So yeah, thank you so much. And if you have any question, I would, of course, gladly respond. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, actually, we are going in circles with the same conclusions and recommendations that we have the policies. There's a lack of implementation, that we need to support the youth, and especially in education. I think that in Skopje at the conference that there was also discussion about if the young people in the region, if they have good programs, good curriculum that they should learn, like there is no interdisciplinarity, like how the Committee of Accreditation is working, which are their standards to agree on certain curricula. Are they contemporary? Are they meeting their needs of education according to the environment and everything that's been going on these years, that the times are changed now, and that they cannot study on old curriculum and programs that are not related to their everyday lives. So also regarding the employment, even in the declaration, because there is a call to actions for every of the topic that were part of this project, there are very strict recommendations, like what should be done in like the learning outcome standards of the VET programs must be aligned across all Western Balkan countries to ensure compatibility with market demands. That's not happening at the moment, and it's so simple. It's not something that we should, it's not a science. It's, yes, we need to have common standards who are aligned with the contemporary everyday living here in the Balkans and in the region and and everywhere, actually. So yes, if you have comments on this.
Thank you so much for putting out the issue of the curriculum. We've been working with the industry for specific fields to improve the curricula or to redesign the curricula. The thing in Albania, at least in Albania, because I know that in Serbia it works a bit differently in a good way. But in Albania, in Tirana, and in our other cities, when we have public universities, there is a lack of trust between the industry and the universities. They don't trust each other. And yes, and that's the main issue. I've been talking a lot about this, also trying to involve myself in this, but it's very difficult to gain this trust. If we do this, then maybe we can, follow the good example of Serbia, which is working better and closer as a university and as an industry.
You say trust, do you mean about trust in the educational system, in the educational institutions, and they don't trust that they produce? They
don't trust the graduates. At the same time, the university has some trust problems with industry and
both sectors, they should be working together.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, I will introduce Francesca Muccio, which is Executive Director of Young Professionals Network, to give her comments on the report and maybe your recommendations, what should be done in the future.
Thank you so much. And I think that all the region has some trust issues, not only between research and university and business sector, but in other sectors. And maybe this is what we need, among other things, to trust more to certain democratic processes, to each other, and to share some love. I don't want to sound as a guru, but also I think that we should share some more trust and love among each other, and to put that trust in our daily work. However, coming back to the report, first of all, congratulations for this reflection meeting, because frankly speaking, most of the research done in the region and not only, they remain only in the desk research phase, and there are no forums or mediums or gatherings where people come to discuss and reflect on the findings and to discuss the concrete follow-up actions, which is the most needed things, because we are not only young people, but even myself, which I consider myself an enthusiastic of policies and politics, I have started to be tired from all those blah, 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 and we should discuss more on concrete follow-ups and concrete actions and concrete implementations on the existing policies, because progress is done in the region in terms of policy frameworks on youth. And this is something that we should acknowledge, because sometimes even acknowledging things that are being done in the right way, it's something to be done. And this I connect with what you were saying for the question that, what was your name, sorry? Elida had. Because very often we feel in this region as we are the center of negativity in the world, and after traveling in several continents, I must admit that we are not the center of negativity in the world, but also there are positive things that are going on, which we should acknowledge and address them, and of course address even the things that are not working. Don't get me wrong, because only this way we maintain a constructive approach and also don't feel like suffocated in this beautiful region. So in terms of youth policies in the region, as it was rightly pointed out from the report, there is a lack of implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of the existing policies. And I would further add to this that still policymakers are not recognizing youth intersectionality and cross-sectionality. Because we have young people in agriculture, but we also have young people in economy, culture, science, etc., etc. And to implement and to have comprehensive policies and policies that really address what young people feel or the situation that young people have, this is an important element that should be recognized, not only in Western Balkans, but even in a more broader level in Europe. But European Union has started to already deliver that. So addressing young people as a target group in all the policies that policymakers develop, it's a very important component. And I would even add to this that we should start to treat youth in policy making as we treat gender equality, that you have specific indicators for the numbers of participation of females and males, and in this case of young people. And there are already some international organizations that, for example, they have a focal point on gender equality and youth. And I believe that that is a very good example to be followed by institutions and governments in Western Balkans, so they could properly address the needs of young people. Because even though young youth has started to become a very important topic among international stakeholders, EU delegation, governments, etc., etc., still young people feel that they are not underrepresented, that what we are missing. Thirdly, the functionality of youth participatory mechanisms, which was something that was mentioned in your report as well. In a study that the Young Professionals Network did for the European Economic Social Committee on structured and meaningful youth participation in policy-making and decision-making processes, what it has been highlighted the most is youth tokenism. And in Western Balkans, we have a lot of youth tokenism. There is a ladder of participation, which somehow it's a framework to evaluate how young people are being engaged in those youth participatory mechanism. All the youth mechanisms that exist in the region they are most of the time in the ladder, in the first scale of the ladder, which is tokenism. That means that young people are mostly being used for beautiful pictures rather than having a proper voice in the discussions and in the policies formulated, except RICO, which, not because I have been youth representative of Albania in the governing board of RICO, to be clear about that, but it really is a meaningful youth participatory mechanism where young people are along the side ministers in the region and they have the same writing votes, etc., etc. So concrete things that their voices are being translated in concrete outputs in whatever is being discussed. So in terms of the functionality of youth mechanisms, I would strongly highlight to increase the standards of the existing mechanisms, because there are already a lot of youth councils, youth local councils, youth European councils, etc., which exist, but they should be further improved according to the standards of youth participations, which Council of Europe has developed tons of documents on how to do that in a proper way. Thirdly, I would highlight increase of donor coordination, because everyone is doing something about youth, but where are all those efforts about youth going on, and how youth organizations or youth entities are being engaged on all those efforts and all of those projects on youth that already exist. So in a regional level, but even in a domestic level, there is a lack of donor coordination when we speak about youth. Another thing that I would like to mention is grassroots movements and increasing support for youth centers and other youth infrastructure which allow young people in a daily life to be engaged in different activities and in different voluntary work, which is a very important engagement to increase, to impact in skills development and to make them active citizens. Because those one-time events, it's not enough, and that doesn't secure a sustainable and holistic, as Jaffer mentioned, approach towards youth skills development, but even youth development in general. And this is something that was pointed out even from a study on youth peace and security that I did for Albania, where most of the young people in rural areas, they were complaining that they don't have what to do besides Skopje. And of course, that if we don't provide young people with spaces where they can be engaged, grow, where they can have personal and professional growth, then we can and only have internet, TikTok and Instagram. Of course, that we can't have the expectations that they will be more than that. And to conclude, maybe a call to support more young people and don't demotivate them to be part of political and different democratic processes. Because we discuss a lot on democracy, participatory democracy, why young people don't participate in election and why young people don't participate here and there. But for example, something that I have noticed the last days in Albania, you know that we have elections after 2 or 3 weeks or 1 month. 2 months, yes. And a few days ago, the list of MPs were published from different political parties, which, to be honest, some of them I respect, some of them I don't respect, but this is my personal opinion. And I have never seen a kind of big rancor among, for some of the young MPs that were running out for the very first time in the elections. Some of those candidates I respect, some of them no, but as I already mentioned, this is my personal opinion. We should not demotivate the young voices or the young people who want to be engaged in political processes, because this is leading to a vicious circle in our region. If you are not engaged, why young people don't lead the change? Why young people do not react? if you decide to engage, then you have those opinions. Politics and politicians, they are all the same. Like this negative perception that we have rightly established for politics somehow is not somehow, but is eroding trust, but is also impacting to young people will to be engaged in politics, and then we have the same old and stupid politicians which do not motivate us and which do not represent us. So we still remain to this circle. So yeah, I think that was all. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. Yes, you raised a lot of questions which were actually raised also in Skopje. We are talking about youth participation, but not meaningful youth participation. And when they become part of the decision makers, then we are demonizing them like you are part of the politicians, and now you're not part of us, and yes, so on and so on. Also about the platforms where they can be together and create and speak, and yes, that is crucial. Like events like this one, like the conference, like we need to provide free platforms where they can talk for hours, for days, and to find a solution for every situation that they've been dealing with these days, no matter what the topic is or which part of everyday living is. So yes, you raised a lot of questions, but my question for all of you would be, because we raised this and that, employment, education, political participation and everything, what should be first? What do you think? What should be first? The focus, yeah. What should be the focus?
So first I want to go back to what Francesca said. It's not about demotivating them. So unfortunately, running for MP or motivating goes hand in hand with meritocracy. So we don't have a lack of trust to the MP candidate. We have the lack of trust in the process. We have a lack of trust of meritocracy. That's the main issue. And this also relates to your question. So giving the chance to the right young people, giving the chance to the brightest of them, lending a hand to the one that, we know that it may be in the north or in the south, but it's a value to the community. So yeah, of course we need young people engaged. Of course we need young people motivated and hopefully trying to do the best of themselves in our region. But we have to show some, some more care and some more, Francesca said love, put the name as you want, but we have to be more closer to them, listen to them, and maybe then after listening to them very well, we can pick out, the right interventions on the right actions.
Okay, thank you. So we should go back 10, 20 steps and to talk about values, solidarity. That's why I think that the love is coming all the time. Like we need love, we need to hear each other, to be together, to talk together, to be solidary between ourselves, and to have empathy. And yes, we should build our trust in the system again and in ourselves again. Anybody wants to comment or ask, or yes? Victor?
I'm going to say to hear so we can heal, first of all, on the question of love and care. And then additionally, this is for Mr. Jaffer's question. So in Macedonia, we have a trend like a lot of the students that are staying in the country that are not going to foreign universities are studying STEM sciences. So they pretty much go to programming and electron engineering, machine engineering, etc. While we lack very quality students that are going to the social and humanities sciences. So is that trend ongoing in Albania? And if it is, do you have any measurements on how we can shift the trend towards society and towards humanities? Because I think that in Macedonia we have really, really big problem and lack of students in those faculties. Thank you.
That's why I pointed out that we should raise our young people and motivate them to stay, contribute, and give their best in the country. It's the same trend also in all the region. And what I see and what we see is young people studying medicine, pharmaceutical sciences, medical sciences in general, and then IT or biotech or something related to technology as the scapegoat. They want to go abroad and build a life there. That's the reason they are so focused on these kind of programs. We have also the same issue with social sciences. Just a few students go to these kind of programs, and also it's related to the status that these programs have. I'm talking about Albania specifically. You can be a teacher, which is a fantastic profession. If I could go back, I would have become a teacher, by the way. I still do teaching, but not with young people, not with children. Anyways, so it's the status that we lack, it's the salary, so the profit basically. You do a thing for two main reasons, purpose or profit. If they're both, that's great, that's fantastic. I do it for purpose, but not everyone will do it for purpose, So we have to regain the status of these professions, social sciences, teachers, humanistics in general, and then try to offer to these young people some better clarity. Because I believe that we have a lot of chances in the region, a lot of positions. If you see industry and businesses and companies, they're always asking for new blood. But what we do is that, like, we don't have students, we don't have young people, they're going abroad. I don't see a clear strategy that we can move from this kind of vicious circle, okay? So, gaining the status of some professions, offering some more, higher salaries, and of course, help them with guidance. If they know that they will have chances in Albania or in Macedonia in some kind of positions, they will at least think about that twice, not go directly to a STEM or technology or whatever other profession.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to comment or ask or say something?
In fact, I wanted to add something to all this in a perspective as a student. Besides the thing that you mentioned, I think that it also has to do with the way that you approach things. For example, you have to do the right approach to the students to choose their career path. I was an excellent student, and if I had to do the list to listen to what people said, of course I would also decide to study engineering or to be a doctor. But I decided to choose what I love to do with passion, as you mentioned. But I think that besides the right way to approach, you have to choose a right path to change the people mindset. Because I know now the salary is not a big problem to become a teacher, but it also has to do how the people really value becoming a teacher. Because if you don't see a profession, your future profession as something valuable that would also give you more credits for you as a person, of course that you're not going to choose it. So it's just a little comment that I wanted to add based on what you mentioned.
You are right, but you are so lucky. From my experience, four or five young high schoolers, they don't really know what to do.
Yeah, because also the teachers has to work with this.
Thank you. Okay, so at the end of this event, I would like to thank you to thank all of our speakers and to the participants for your comments, for your speeches, for your insights. And I want to say that this dialogue, these discussions won't stop here. We will continue to organize events where we will bring together youth and institutions and NGOs who are working in this field, and we will try to find solutions for all of these topics that are part of our discussions. So now I will invite you to refreshment, and I will wish you a nice day. Thank you for coming again.